Welcome to chapter 6, listening so people feel understood. Uh, if you've already listened to chapter 6, which is called You Hold the Key in Recognizing Your Emotional Ownership, what I have done is I've actually moved that to chapter 7. So I apologize. There will be a point in time when I get through all the 52 chapters that I plan on going back around and re-recording all of them, bringing forward new ideas, fresh stories, fresh perspectives in the future. So just to alleviate a little bit of confusion, I added a chapter and rearranged all the past following chapters all the way to 52 and actually removed one that I felt was weak in nature. So this one I felt needed its own chapter. Listening so people feel understood. All right. I do believe listening is a skill that I don't know necessarily that we're ever taught how to deeply listen. It is something that I have learned for sure, especially over the last 8 years, quite well, quite deeply, and it has had an enormous impact on my life. So that's why I bring this forward early in the 52 weeks. If we haven't met, I'm Catherine Hood. I am a self-leadership and relationship educator and coach. I love teaching self-leadership. I love teaching all kinds of leadership, honestly. Myself being a leader in many different spaces, in many different chapters in my life. I also have a lot of fun in the relationship space. And what I mean by a relationship is a relationship to everything, relationship to yourself, the relationship to life, the relationship to things. That could be money, that could be people, the town that you live in. The relationship is honestly how you think about something or someone. But most importantly, I love to help people create a relationship to themselves and life and others where they feel more calm, more light, more free, a sense of control, if you will. I use that term lightly, the word control, but most of all is to create an experience that you love and enjoy. In other words, what I love to do is to help people create a life that they no longer need a vacation from. I love to support people in creating a life that they are eager to get up in the morning and jump out of bed without an alarm. All right, so if let's begin on listening, right? Are you listening? And I don't mean on the surface level, I mean deep listening. So let's dive in. You can change every relationship in your life. You can change every relationship in your life without them changing. Okay, so and we can't force people to change. Have you ever tried to get somebody else to change? Have you ever tried to get somebody to think and believe and do differently? How'd that work out? Usually we get more of what we don't want. Most communication problems aren't because of the words that we used. They're usually, the breakdown usually is the mental noise. It's usually the energy that walks into the room with you, your agenda, what you're wanting, what you're expecting, what you believe you deserve, what's fair, what's unfair, what's how things should be done right, what is wrong, it's usually mental noise. Okay. Clean communication and clean listening is very simplistic. Dirty communication and dirty relationships, and I don't mean this in the naughty sense, I mean it in a sense of just having a lot on your mind, a lot of thoughts, a lot of worry, concern, embarrassment, shame, guilt, all of the things. That's dirty. Okay. A busy mind, a mentally noisy mind creates a lot of clutter. Okay. When we're in a busy mind, which is if you have the 52 week chapter, sorry, not 52 week, 52 chapter book, you know, and you understand the concept between a still mind and a busy mind. Now, if you're really new, this may not make a lot of sense, but I'll clear that up a little bit throughout this video. But when we are in a busy mind, when we're really busy, when our mind is spiraling, as some say, or when we're in the quicksand, or when we're going down the drain, or when we're spinning out of control, right? We're usually operating from a place that we're defending something, right? And usually we're defending ourselves or our reputation or our characteristics or our values, or we're defending what people think of us. We're defending something. We're wanting to fix something or someone. We're wanting to change how people see us or change somebody else. We're wanting to predict the future to avoid pain, to avoid suffering. We're wanting to maybe control an outcome. We're wanting to control how people think about us. We're wanting to control what other people believe about us. We're wanting to change, protect, avoid, in some way or fashion or form. We're wanting to do a lot of things that are way outside of our control. We're in our mind, right? We're just spiraling, thinking about the past, thinking about the future. We're thinking about what's fair, what's unfair. It's a lot of thinking. It's heavy, it's burdensome, it feels contracted. You could feel it in your body, you could feel it in your stomach, your muscles, tension, headache, maybe. A lot of people that are on autopilot will tell me, I don't feel it anywhere in my body. It's like, oh, okay. So it's more, we're needing to go inside more. When you understand where you feel it in your body more and you can connect to it and you can describe it, that's when we can move forward. If you're not able to get a sense of where you're feeling it in your body and you're not able to observe your thoughts from maybe an outside perspective, a lot of times you're on autopilot. You're not behind the wheel. You're not in control of your life. No wonder why you feel out of control. No wonder why you feel lost, confused, frustrated, angry, disappointed. It's usually a lot of thoughts, a lot of stories, a lot of beliefs that are well-meaning. They're protecting you. They've been formed over your life, over many, 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 many situations and circumstances that you've been a part of or watched or witnessed. And that can even be in movies. What I will say about a quiet mind, it's quiet, it's still, it's settled, it's light, it's calming, it's very present. And it doesn't mean that there aren't any thoughts. It's when I have a real quiet, still mind, thoughts kind of creep in and I'm like, I hear you. And then I drift back to that quietness. Another thought will pop up, another idea. I hear you. I acknowledge you. And I get right back into listening to what the other person is saying, what they might be meaning, what they're intending, what their well-meaning and intentions are. I listen to understand. I listen with curiosity in a space of what next? What happened then? What's your goals? What's the solution? What's the next step? How are you going to, what is going to happen? Say more. What if? What's going to go on next? What do you predict? What's the best possible solution? What's the best possible outcome? I'm listening with the ear of, usually when people communicate initially, it's very surface level. They're just giving you the notes, the crib notes, the very small, what they feel is ultimately important. But when we ask the say more, what else? Because we're wanting more depth, we're wanting more meaning, we're wanting them to share with us the 3D version that's going on in their thoughts. When we ask those questions and omitting whatever's ping-ponging around in our mind, oh, share with them your story, share with them that this happened to you too. When we let those thoughts settle, kind of like when you shake a snow globe, when the snowflakes settle to the bottom, when we allow those thoughts to just settle and remain in that curious dialogue, that other person feels held, that other person feels like you're holding space for them, that other person is able to collect all the chatter in their brain and spit it out in a way to hopefully have another person hear it. But when we spit it out, sometimes, especially when it's wobbly or chunky or clunky, it might be kind of hard for the other person to understand. But when we ask more curious questions, then it starts to form, it starts to become a story, it starts to become more realistic. They'll start to see pit holes and gaps and places that can be filled in or explored or understood at a level that maybe they gain an insight or maybe they access their wisdom. So this is about leading the conversation with curiosity. It's about self-leadership. It's leading by example. It's about modeling the type of conversations that create connection. It's modeling and leading and inspiring other people to deeply listen, to understand. It's learning to be very present. It's learning to put aside any pressure, urgency, or desires. It's asking you to put a pause on needing to be right or wrong or better or worse or above or below or wanting things to be a certain way or different. People feel safe and open up and share with you when there's someone sitting across from them that has the ability to be fully present. When we have someone sitting across from us that's intentionally present and has that skill and practices that skill every single communication, it allows that other person to process and clearly explore what it is that they're sharing with you. They soften, the walls come down, armor comes off, people become more vulnerable. People will listen back to you. People will trust you more. They'll develop a deeper connection and bond with you. They'll relate to you more. Even if they don't agree, they'll go, oh, that makes sense how you feel that way. Now I see your come from. Now I see from your conditioning, from your culture, from how you were raised, or from how you've developed this belief. It makes sense why you feel the way you feel. So the real problem in communication is most people don't struggle with communication. That's usually what clients come to me with. I struggle with saying the right thing because they're wanting to say something smart or intellectual, or they're wanting to say something that's right or good or better or come across in a way that they are appreciated or trusted or respected. They have so many layers and so many rules and so much pressure to be a certain way or be perceived a certain way, and that's not in your control. That's so far outside of the space in which you can have any influence on. And people do this, it's not because they're unloving, it's not because they're lacking intelligence, it's not because they lack communication skills, it's because they don't understand how to access a quiet mind. They don't know how to listen deeply. Because when we master our state of mind, when we are able to train our brain to work for us rather than against us, we can put aside the busy mind and we can access a quiet mind. When someone else is talking, we can really see that when we're deeply listening, there is no pressure. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to be any certain way. There's no expectations. It's simply to listen with wild curiosity of like a 7-year-old. When we have a busy mind, when our state of mind is really spun up and really activated, it has us wanting to share, this is how I feel, or I feel that way too, or I've experienced that as well. Let me tell you my story. What you've done in essence is you no longer understand them. You've taken the microphone away from them. You've taken the spotlight, and now it's all about me. Me, 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 me. They don't feel heard. They feel shut down. They feel invalidated. So it's really about allow them to keep the microphone and allow the spotlight to be on them. When we're in a busy mind, our mind is usually filled with, what does this mean about me? How is this personal? What's right? What's wrong? You're categorizing pros and cons. You're no longer listening. You're in your head, graphing and charting everything. When we're in a busy mind, it's when we're in our survival brain. Our brain is scanning for a threat. It's scanning for what's right or wrong, good or bad, better or worse. It's scanning for how this could be embarrassment to me. We're scanning for meaning. We're scanning for personalization. We're scanning for how we would do things better if I was them. We're scanning for how to fix them. We're scanning for solutions. We're scanning for ways to take their suffering away in certain situations and make me feel better. When we're in a busy mind, we're listening to be right. We're listening to be validated. We're listening for a way to take the microphone away. We're listening for a way to sway their minds, their opinions, their views, or their perspectives. And when we're in a busy mind, communication shuts down. Listening ends. There's no listening. You're tuned out. Like they could tell in your eyes that you're not even there. You're processing. There's all kinds of stuff going on in your brain. Even if your mouth is quiet, like it's seriously very evident that you've checked out. So here are the 10 traps, listening traps. So these are the 10 things that will quickly break down a conversation or quickly shut down communication. It's when we are listening in a way I can't wait to interrupt. I can't wait to interject my ideas. I can't wait to tell them what I have experienced. I can't wait to respond so maybe they will understand because of my own experience. That breaks down communication. When we have a conversation and we assume what they mean, when we assume what they mean before they're able to really exhaust whatever it is that's on their mind, we break down communication. We break it down when we are looking for ways to fix them, solve their problem for them. We're basically enabling them, right? When we're listening from an ear of what's wrong with them, how can I fix them? How can I solve this for them without any permission to do so? When they have not asked you for your opinion or your solution. We break down communication when we make meaning out of their tone or assume they mean something very personal. When we argue in our mind, in our thoughts, when someone is communicating with us, when we argue in our mind or verbally at the next opportunity about their feelings, how they should feel or what they should do or how they should behave. When we argue in our mind or verbally about their feelings and how they should be, communication is ended. You've just slammed the door on their face because you're telling them from your views, you're projecting outwards, you're projecting your life's experiences, your rules, your presumptions, your opinions, your values, your morals, your convictions. You're projecting onto them what they should do with that situation or their life. And that feels, on the receiving end of it, that feels invalidating. It feels like you're not heard. It feels really difficult to speak to that person and gain any kind of wisdom or clarity. When we drag our own garbage into someone else's conversation, meaning we drag in our own hurts, past hurts, let's say relationships wise, if you got hurt in a past relationship or have guilt or shame, and you bring your garbage into their story, or maybe if it is in reference to them, right? If you bring up the past and you throw stones at them about past situations that involve them, you're back again making this conversation about you. When we speak in communication with anyone where we're keeping score, like, okay, how many times has what they're saying been right? Or how many things have they said that are wrong? When we're keeping score, or when we're in a relationship with someone and we're looking back at all the things that they did to us that were wrong, when we're keeping score in a way of, well, I wouldn't do it that way, so that's a score for me, or vice versa. When we're keeping score, that's going to show up in your listening. It's going to show up in your presence. It's going to show up in your energy and the spirit that you bring into this conversation. When we expect other people to read our mind and understand us, we are no longer communicating. We're shut down, we're guarded, we're armored up. Now, all of these and many more that I haven't listed doesn't make us bad people. What this does is this points to what could be leveled up, what could be improved, because we all have done, if not all of these things, some of them. Me too, right? It just makes us human. And what it is our brain and our nervous system protecting us, serving us, using the reference of past situations and circumstances to bring into the current moment, to protect us, to guard us, to a lot of times when we hear someone sharing a story where they're suffering or they're in pain, mental, emotional, physical pain, we want to take that pain from them. So some of these habits are formed with good intentions. If I give them a solution and they do the solution, then I know it'll work because it worked for me and it solves their problem, then I feel safe again. So a lot of times our brain and our nervous system are activated and we want to be the savior. We want to be the hero. But they're not a victim. They're going through life, they're learning, they're evolving, they're growing. Allow them to articulate and describe what's going on in their life, and ask them. Once you've exhausted all your questions and you seem to understand to the best of your ability what they're struggling with, what they're going through, simply ask them, what are some ideas or solutions for you to do next? What can you do in the next day that'll help you move out of this? What are some things that you can do going forward to prevent this? So it's really, communication is rather simple. It's more listening than doing anything or saying the right thing. It's slowing down enough to see a human being having an emotional or mental experience, possibly physical experience, that they're sharing with you. And they're just wanting to vocalize it, to process, to maybe sort out all their thoughts. And oftentimes people can find their own solution when someone deeply listens, when someone reflects back what they believe they are hearing. This is what I believe I hear you saying. Am I correct? It's slowing down enough to where the other person feels fully held. It's slowing down enough and being curious, because we are human beings, we're not human doings. Most people want to have in a conversation empathy and validation. That's it. Empathy is seeking to understand how they feel by asking questions. I'm curious, is this what you mean? This is what I heard. I'm curious, this is what I'm understanding from this. What is it that you're going to do to solve this? How are you going to get out of this? What are some ideas you've had? Have you brainstormed some ideas? It's maintaining curiosity. It's slowing down enough to hold time and space for another human being to vocalize. So the thought shift, right? The thought shift is listening as a leader. Okay. So deep listening is not an agreement. I'm not suggesting that you agree to everything people say. You can listen and speak from curiosity. You can listen and speak from a willingness to really understand why they feel the way they feel. And I'll tell you, they feel the way they feel because of the thoughts that they're believing in that moment. So getting curious at what their thoughts are and what they're believing, what's the narrative that's running in the background in their brain that has them feeling the way they feel. That's it. That's simple. It's staying present. It's staying in a quiet mind. It's staying steady. It's staying sturdy. Most people that are struggling or spiraling, they really just want someone sitting across from them that's steady and sturdy and strong. Someone that's standing there holding the buoy while they're out there in the water paddling and trying to stay above the water. They want someone on the riverbank holding a buoy that says, hey, if things get really bad, I'm going to throw this out. It's going to be your job to grab a hold of it and kick your way to the shoreline. Presence is saying, I'm here. You're safe. Presence is saying to yourself, I am patient. I am calm. I am curious. I'm optimistic. I'm unconditionally loving, supportive, warm, compassionate. Staying present is being able to think and believe I can handle this moment and I can hold time and space for this person. I can remain safe and open-minded. Being present is leading by example. Being present is modeling what it's like to be steady, firm, solid, safe, compassionate. So what does it look like when you are exhibiting that? What does it look like when you're holding space for somebody and being calm and present and clear-minded? When we think and believe that we are capable of being steady and firm and calm and patient and open-minded and curious, when we believe that, when we think and believe that, our nervous system relaxes. Our brain and our body and our energy is open to hearing someone's vulnerability. When we open up, walls come down and trust opens up. Connection forms in that very moment. When we are accessing our own inner wisdom and being it in a quiet mind and at peace, that's when the conversation changes. So here are some power phrases. I've used some of these already. that can help you in conversations with those people that you care and love about or love. Uh, I like this one a lot. You'll hear me use this if we've been on in a conversation before. This is what I heard, right? I'll fill in the blank. This is what I heard. I heard you say that you're really struggling, that this is really heavy. This is a big burden. This is something that feels very challenging to you. That's what I heard. Is this what you meant? Is that what you meant? And how can I be of service? Would you like me to just listen, or would you like some advice? Or if we're physically in the same place, would you like me to hold your hand or give you a hug? So there's an easier way to remember this is heard, hugged, or helped, the 3 H's. But in the moment, if you're really in a quiet mind, you'll be able to articulate it using your own words. You'll connect with that inner knowing. But until you've practiced it a few times, heard, helped, hugged, the 3 H's. I like adding disclaimers in conversations too. This is what I heard. I heard that this is very challenging for you. This is what I believe you meant. Perhaps this is challenging, but you're learning as you go. And what I believe you wanted in this conversation was for me to hold time and space for you. Is that true? And sometimes people say, yeah, that's all I wanted. Or some people say, well, no, I really want your opinion. I want to hear what you would do. And then I'll ask, I'll double, triple check. Are you sure? I want to make sure that you're willing to hear what I'm going to say. I want people to validate that, yes, I'm ready. Give it to me. I'm open with both ears. And again, by saying yes, it doesn't mean you're going to take my advice or my opinion. Zero expectation of that. But it's a disclaimer that says, please take what's useful and discard what's not. Because anything that's my advice is from my own life, from my own experience, from my own knowledge. And that's very limited. That's my life. And your life and your reality are very different. And if I give out advice and it goes well, things pan out, you're going to come back to me. There's this dependency now. Well, Catherine gave me good advice. I'm going to go back to her. But what if maybe the first time I gave you good advice and the second time I give you bad advice, or advice that doesn't pan out for you? Are you going to blame me? And now our relationship, the foundation of our relationship crumbles as a result of something going really bad, where you lose a job or lose a relationship or lose money or lose something. I would prefer to brainstorm solutions with you, help you solve the problem in a means or a way that reinforces the ability for you next time to access your own resources internally and come up with solutions on your own, because I may not be available, and nor do I want the responsibility of things going good or bad. I want you to have ownership. I want you to lead your life by your own values, your own morals, your own convictions, because those are going to be different than mine. Okay. Also, another phrase in communication that I find to be very useful and helpful is, and this is more of one to say in your mind, but you can also say this out loud. Let's say the conversation is going in a direction that's rocky, or things are starting to get frustrated or heated. The statement or the phrase would be, how did I contribute to this? So we all contribute. Whenever there's a conversation or communication going, there's some sort of contribution. We're often mirroring each other. We mirror each other. So when someone is yelling and screaming at you, they're just words. They're just letters smushed together. We create meaning out of those words based on our state of mind, our perception, our judgments, our views, our morals, our principles, our conditioning and beliefs, all the things. our habits of communication. We form what we believe is being said to us in that moment based on the tone, the body language, all the things, right? Communication is very complex. It's not difficult, but it is complex. When we step back and go, whoa, how did I contribute to this? We can take ownership and go, I see how I contributed to where this conversation has gone. I want to take ownership and I want to apologize. Can we start over? So it's really taking ownership and responsibility for your part. Don't worry about their part of it. I know a lot of times people come to me and they're like, yeah, but they shouldn't talk like that. Blame, complain, blame, complain. Naturally, they're going to be defensive. When we focus on what's going well, when we focus on how we are contributing to this conversation, what energy you're wanting to bring into this conversation and hope to get it reciprocated. Now, we may not. If the other person does not have the same or similar emotional intelligence level that you do, you may not give back high energy, and that's okay. They don't have the skills that you do. But take ownership and responsibility and lead by example by taking responsibility for how things went off the rails. These aren't techniques, these are skills. These are ways to signal to your brain and your nervous system that you are safe. These are skills to reassure the other person you're in communication with that they too are safe in talking with you. Whenever you're in a relationship or a conversation or communicating with someone and you're wanting to win, you're not listening. You have an agenda. But when you're in a communication or a conversation where your only motive or agenda, if you want to have one, is to understand, your mind will quiet, your body will quiet. I believe a lot of people enter into conversations wanting to get something, and they believe that every conversation is a transaction. They're wanting some sort of feeling to come out of the conversation. Okay, well, that's not where your feelings come from. Your feelings are inside of you. It's inside out. Okay. Now, I know at the beginning of this, I prefaced it with leading with the other person feeling heard. It's not your responsibility. If you're using this skill to listen deeply, to understand, and with practice, naturally the other person will feel heard. Naturally. Now, there are those situations, again, where people live in a world where they feel that no one listens and they're projecting that onto everyone. That's not your responsibility and that's not your job to solve. Okay. There are those situations, and I'm not pointing towards that, but in a normal, very normal, semi-normal circumstances, if you are listening to understand and you allow them to keep the microphone and keep them in the spotlight, and there's no personalization and no meaning and no judgment surfacing and coming out of your body and your mouth, then the conversations will often land, more often than not. When we enter into a conversation where we're believing it's transactional and we want to get something, we're wanting reassured, we want them to agree, we want them to sign up, we want an apology, we want validation or approval or empathy or respect, you're not in a conversation. You're in control. You're wanting control. And guaranteed, that's not going to land. This gets you in the boxing ring. Somebody's wearing red shorts, somebody's wearing blue shorts. The tension is high. You both are in a tug of war. That's not a conversation. Leadership is different. I teach self-leadership. Leadership is leading by seeking to understand. It's leading and modeling the spirit and the energy of how do I want to feel as I listen being myself or being in their shoes, instead of what am I going to get? Or how am I going to get them to agree with me? How do I get them to agree and act the way I want them to? That's control. And I know in coaching conversations, there's all kinds of language and justifications and excuses that all lead the same road to you're wanting them to agree or validate you or apologize or take ownership for something that they don't have the skills to do. So, what is the energy, or how do you want to feel as you listen to this other person? How do you want to feel before, during, and after the conversation? See, if you can't name this and using language that's within your control, you're certainly not going to create that experience. What we articulate, what we want more of, and as long as we stay focused on that and we really keep our compass pointed that direction, we will get that. So if your answer to the question of how do I want to feel is I want to feel calm, I want to feel grounded, I want to feel safe, I want to feel patient, I want to feel clear-headed, clear-minded, open, curiosity, curious, I want to feel steady, I want to feel sturdy, I want to feel strong, I want to feel courageous, I want to feel brave, I want to feel optimistic. That's all within your state of mind. You can create that. Nothing needs to be done outside of you. It's inside out. Notice that all of those words are all an internal state. It's mastering your emotional state. If you can master your emotional state while out in the woods, you can do it when somebody's yelling at you. It takes practice. It is a skill. Your emotional state and feelings that are all within your control are coming from inside of you. They are internal. When we operate from ownership and responsibility, and we see how our feelings truly are generated by our thoughts that we believe, life becomes so much easier. But when we believe that our feelings are external, they come from other people acting and thinking and behaving and saying what you want them to say and doing what you want them to do, you will feel powerless. You will feel hopeless. You will feel miserable because you're giving your power away. When the moment you enter into a conversation or a communication or a relationship where you need the other person to cooperate, you're no longer in relationship. You're in a power struggle. If you need someone to cooperate, think or believe what you want them to feel steady, you've handed over your emotional power, your emotional authority. You've handed over them the remote control to how you feel. And this always creates friction, distance, a wedge in that relationship. So always, always choose your state of mind that you want to enter into a conversation and have those words be within your power, within your control of what you want before, during, and after. So when you lay down your head on your pillow tonight, that you are proud of what you thought and you believed and what you said and what you did. This builds self-confidence. This builds self-leadership. This builds self-love. Show up from this way. You'll have to learn to describe it in your own words. Use your own words that land for you, that have a unique meaning to you. It doesn't matter what the words are. Think of it this way. I almost mentioned this earlier. Think of every relationship or every conversation as there's two separate chairs, okay? You're in one chair and they are in their chair. Your chair, the one that you sit in, your chair holds your life history, your convictions, your values, your principles, things that you believe in, your beliefs, your faith, your what you value, what you find important, your interpretations of the world in your reality. That's your chair. Stay in your chair. The other person that you're in communication with has their history, their life experiences, their traumas, their events, their feelings, their interpretations, their rules, their judgments, values, convictions, morals, faith, beliefs. You can't sit in both chairs at once. The problem and power struggle happens when you're trying to sit in both chairs, or where you're trying to collapse both chairs into one. So stay in your chair and let all your thoughts settle. Speak from I language, not you language, I language. So what I am hearing is, what I think you're trying to say is this what you mean? What would be your perspective? What are other perspectives? My point of view differs from yours, and that's why I appreciate you. I learned so much from you. My perception is different than yours, and I find that fascinating and interesting. My interpretation was this, now it's this. Thank you for sharing that with me. Another one of my favorite ones is you could be right. It's one of my favorite sayings. You could be right. Steal it. You could be right. So listen from curiosity, stay in your chair, stay and maintain what's yours and allow them to have what's theirs. Your job is to be warm, compassionate, honest, whatever words land for you. Okay, feel free to steal mine as long as there's meaning and value to them. We all don't hear people clearly. I know it might look like that at times, but we don't. We don't hear people clearly. Especially when we believe that the words someone says, we have a belief that their words hurt us or make us feel good. Okay, we don't hear people correctly. The moment we think that someone makes us feel a certain way, good or bad, by their words, instantly our nervous system and brain are on hyper alert, scanning for what's safe, what's not, what's familiar, what's unfamiliar. We are now outside of ourselves. We're now putting our emotional state in the hands of someone else. Oftentimes when we're doing that, it's really easy to react and become defensive. It's really easy to blast back proof and evidence that they're wrong or right. It's easy to blast back with complaining and blaming and finger pointing. We can simply change that by understanding right now I'm thinking about this a certain way that's providing this feeling. Or in other words, I'm feeling my thinking, and my thinking has a flavor of anxiousness or worry. Let me settle down and get more clear on how I want to feel. Okay, so I am always feeling my thinking, every single one of us. We're always feeling our thinking. That's leadership. because I have yet to have a single person say, I want to feel sad, I want to feel angry. So if you recognize and observe your thoughts and they are of anger or upset or frustration, and we go, whoa, that's not how I want to feel. I want to feel at peace. I want to feel calm. We can think the thoughts that happen first and choose how we want to feel and live in that state of mind. You can think and feel hurt without making someone else the villain. Okay. You can think and feel hurt feelings or be of a hurt nature without blaming someone. You go, whoa, look at my thoughts. Right now, my thoughts have a flavor of feeling hurt or embarrassed or shame or sadness or disappointment. Look at me go. Look how my brain is working super hard for me, wanting to shrink me, wanting to put me in bubble wrap, wanting to protect me, wanting to serve me in some way. I'm going to change that. Thank you, brain, for that. I'm going to choose to feel safe and calm. It's okay and human-like to feel disappointed without treating the moment or experience or circumstance as some sort of betrayal or maliciousness. When we feel a feeling we don't like and we're trying to place that blame on someone else, we create a habit of doing that, and we create a habit of burning relationships to the ground. We're no longer taking leadership or responsibility for how we feel, and that's a life of suffering. I do believe that there is a choice in who we allow in our lives and whom we limit exposure to. I don't care who they are, what their title is. Listening begins when we understand where our feelings come from. When we gather proof and evidence that in each moment, what we think and we believe is what we feel. And what we feel, what we choose to feel, is what our behaviors start. That's where the action starts. We respond, move forward, or take a step back from how we feel. So you see, understanding alone does not repair relationships. Understanding someone fully alone will not repair or undo a breakdown in goodwill in another relationship. Ownership does, taking responsibility does, saying, whoop, look at me go. I made a human mistake. I want to own this. I'm taking responsibility. I'm going to fix this. Stay in I language. If they had some part in it, if they have the emotional intelligence, they will do the same thing because they witness you. You lead by example. But if they don't have that skill, they don't have that ability, that's okay. They're not ready for that. They're not where you are in the journey of self-development. They're not where you are on emotional intelligence. It's not important to them to understand, or they are just totally blind to it. They're living from anger and hurt and disappointment in life, and they're so deep in it, they can't see out and they don't understand. But you can lead by example, taking ownership and responsibility for your part in a breakdown or hurt, disappointment, or a misstep, or anything that you want to repair, is by saying clean statements like, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I didn't intend to. Please finish. It's important to me to hear everything you have to say. I value our relationship. You are important to me. Earlier, I assumed the wrong thing. I apologize. I'm taking ownership for making false assumptions. I know now to pause and seek to understand fully what you mean. Earlier, I listened in a defensive mind. I apologize. Let me restate that in a more loving, compassionate way. Please allow me to take a step back. Earlier, I reacted fast without all the information. Let me take responsibility or ownership for that misstep and allow me to start over. I thank you for your time, your patience, and willingness to hear me restate this in a more compassionate way. What I said earlier was on me. That was my mistake. I was in a busy mind. Let me take a deep breath and restate that in a way that I meant and that I'd be proud of. Earlier, I said something that I'm not proud of, and I would appreciate it if you allow me to state that in a more meaningful way because you're important to me. So it's naming your action, it's naming and acknowledging the impact that it had on that conversation or that person maybe. And it's also important to state your intentions going forward, that they are important, that you're not proud of what you said or did, and now you are valuable to them. They are important to you. And my intentions moving forward is to be more clear, more thoughtful, more calm, listen to understand, get more information. Repair oftentimes can feel a little clunky and awkward. Let it be. It's just like me, because I didn't really have a context. If I had an examples, and you'll hear too, I've been in coaching sessions, maybe with you, where because it's not my situation, I wasn't in it, and we're kind of rehearsing and practicing in a way. It'll come off a little clunky, and that's okay. That's okay. People love that when it's clunky. It doesn't have to be perfect. And with practice, it smooths out. And when your mind clears, it definitely smooths out. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's funny how we can say things imperfectly. And for whatever reason, like maybe we miss a word or flip words around and say things in a kind of a backwards tense. Still, it's received well from other people because your energy is well-meaning. Your intentions are well-meaning and loving and supportive. So let it be clunky. As long as your state of mind and your intentions are solid and reputable, they'll receive it well. They'll know that you're being genuine and authentic. So it's regulating yourself. It's getting yourself in a state of mind where it's well received. And that's leadership. Okay. It's very grounded. It's very responsible. It's taking ownership for your part. Let their part land wherever it lands. We can't control that. So, and this leads into this next part is when people can't give you what you want or what you're asking for, and people can't. Just it's best to assume they can't. They don't have the skills, they don't have the training, they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the tools, they don't have the resources. You know what, guys? Nobody has a book unless you have my book. Sometimes people can't offer an apology. They don't know how. They're too ashamed or too in the trenches of blame and complain. They're finger pointing and blaming. When we are focused in on I'm owed an apology, they can't apologize themselves. They're focused on external, they're outsourcing their feelings. Some people cannot be held accountable or responsible. Some people don't have the skill of being able to reassure or being confident or being loving or compassionate or empathetic. Some people don't have that skill. It doesn't condone what they've done. It's not what I'm saying. And it doesn't mean you don't matter. But you cannot withdraw $100 emotionally from someone that has only $1. So in order to reclaim your peace, it's understanding that your peace comes from your state of mind, what you think and believe. That's it. That's it. They don't have $100. You do. That's great. So recap, a busy mind is staying in the, I know the answer. I know what's right. I know what's better. I know how things should be. This is how I would do things. This is how I would correct things. I have to defend myself. A quiet mind is, I am patient. I am calm. I am practicing my skill of listening. I can pause. I can pause my thoughts. I can respond from compassion, unconditional love, and respect. I'm going to lead with that, with zero expectations, and listen until I understand and ask, is this what you mean? This is how I interpret that. A busy mind creates tension and conflict. A quiet mind creates trust. All right, in closing, I just looked, this has been an hour. I haven't gone through all my notes, which is okay. Every single chapter has been that way. But listening is not about finding perfect words, not about being perfect at all, in fact. As I mentioned earlier, be clunky. And if this helps your nervous system, say, you know what I'm about to say might be a little clunky, bear with me. Thank you for your patience. Notice I didn't say sorry. I said thank you for your patience. Listening is not controlling the outcome or the conversation. Listening is in a quiet, settled mind. That's where trust and honesty and vulnerability open up. People feel safe when you hold time and space with them. And that's where connection grows. All right, guys. Thank you for watching or listening to this to the very end. Reach out to me if you have any questions. I always love your guys' feedback, thoughts. And so I'm going to skip to chapter 8, being that chapter 7 is already done. They are numbered correctly in the YouTube. They may not be in the right order. I don't know if I can switch that around, but I'm just going to keep moving forward so I can get through the 52 chapters, because this is a lot of fun and I love the feedback that I'm getting. So, all right, guys, thank you and hope your day's amazing. Bye.